Hey everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 3, Episode 10. High heels in the high seas. Oh yeah, we are still on the yacht trip, people. The yacht trip just began, believe it or not, yet I feel like I've been on the yacht for a week. It's gonna be a long trip. This is like Gilligan's Island, the 3-hour cruise that turned into, how many years trapped on an island. Okay, real quick, at the end of the video, I am going to talk a little bit more about my fasting situation. Okay, well, there's no situation yet. Let's just say that. I'm not going to be fasting, I'm realizing now, until January. But I just want to explain a little bit more about why I'm interested in it. Just sort of clarify things, because you had a lot of opinions, which I knew that you would. There were a lot of differing opinions, and one, I think, major misconception about my reasons for fasting that I just want to clear up. So I'm going to talk about that at the end. And then I'm also going to show some of the books that I got and haven't really started yet, but I'll just show you what I picked up from the library. I have another one coming, and actually still even another one that's on order, but I don't know when or if I'll ever get that. But so I'll talk about that. And then also, separate from fasting, I have another book recommendation. It's a little departure from my normal psychological thriller genre, but I still think you're going to want to read it. All right. Housewives of Salt Lake City. Yes, picking up where we left off, Jen is talking to Meredith and Heather in a separate part of the boat where she's just kind of, I guess Jen is drunk, but also she's just really like crying and going off on Angie K. And I will say this, I'm looking at Heather more clearly than I did like season 1. And as you guys know, I didn't recap season 2 because that was during the move, and that's when I kind of fell off the face of the earth for a little while there. But I started, so you can see my recap for like the first 3 episodes of season 2. It was a long time away, and I wasn't even watching the show because, move and everything. But before I started recapping season 3, I got myself all caught up. And I would still say that this Heather is different from season 1 and 2. I still think something's bothering her. I don't know if it's really family stuff, spiritual stuff, leaving the Mormon church, all that, the book. I can imagine all that stuff might be stressing Heather out a little bit. But I'm also just in general, I think, seeing Heather more clearly. And to me, I'm noticing when she's manipulative. Right here, right now, what she says to Jen, who is in a very vulnerable state, is, yeah, I noticed Angie K was like trying to take this trip over, like taking the best room. She didn't care about you at all. And Lisa didn't hesitate to take her side. I saw it. Very clever, Heather. Well, it wasn't lost on Jen either, because she definitely takes the bait. In Jen's confessional, she said, Lisa didn't even check to see if I was okay. I was hurt, and she's just over there kikiing with Angie K. Meanwhile, we have Angie K sharing her side of the story with Lisa, Dana, and Whitney. Yes, she's again going with her tried and true analogy. I guess, it worked earlier with her husband, so she's trying it again. Also, I think the more times that she says it on camera, I think it feels very satisfying for her. Anyway, she's like, I feel like I'm being used. And this sounds really terrible. Or at least you hope it does. But here Jen is, being charged for something where she's supposedly conning people out of money. And she said she was innocent, and I chose to believe her. But then somehow I got conned into paying for this entire event with unlimited alcohol and octopus for everyone. So then Angie K is like saying that with all Jen's been going through, Angie has been compassionate in allowing Jen to come to her and offer to pay. She's a giver, that Angie K. Whitney. It's very impressive to see you be so very honest and very real, because that's what I'm trying to do with Heather. Okay, there you go. That's the tie-in. I mean, really? Angie K is some brave hero now? Come on. If you think it's brave to stand up to Jen, then go ahead and do it privately. I would have so much more respect for Angie K if at the time she said, hey, I know you're going through a lot, but this is what it cost and you could take your time, whatever you want to do. Although I would never. I just couldn't do it. You know what they say, don't ever lend money that you need. You were still able to buy the horse for your daughter. Anyway, the idea that Whitney is praising her as a weird, awkward segue into talking about how she's trying to do that with Heather, which is really all Whitney cares about. She wants to talk about how brave she is to be standing up to Heather. Well, Angie K doesn't know that that's all Whitney really cares about. And so all she says is, but I'm very hesitant because, it's like walking on eggshells around Jen. And Lisa goes, I just said this to Whitney earlier. No one wants to be in a friendship hostage situation. Dana, why is everybody putting up with her? Dana, doesn't concern you. Side note, we talked about Angie Harrington's thirst. And as of last week, Angie K's thirst as well. But can we talk about Dana's thirst for a second? She is trying so hard to take down Jen without having an actual reason of her own for doing so. You had an ugly opinion about Jen, and you keep admitting that you don't really know her. So, just observe for a little while. You're not going to get asked back for next season anyway. So I think just, be like a normal person. Okay, so the CEO of Fun says it is time to get on the dance floor, and all the ladies kind of meet up around the DJ, Tammy. Whitney does a headstand twerk, which, impressive on its own, is really impressive on the high seas. She's on a boat. I mean, that's some next level balancing right there. Some of the women are up and dancing. The music just sounds like some non-copyright generic crap. Something that Bravo didn't have to pay for. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Jen and Lisa now are having a little exchange. Lisa approaches her and she's like, what's wrong? Are you mad at me? I didn't do anything. And Jen's like, be consistent. You didn't have my back. She's not your friend. But you know what? You do your thing. So Jen is trying to walk away, but they're on I guess it's considered a yacht, but it's very small. And there's really nowhere for her to go. So she kind of just gets up and, makes a circle and sits down maybe 3 feet to the left. And Lisa is not letting her get away. She's like, hey, don't do this, Jen. And she's got her arms around her. We're friends. I'm a good friend. What's happening? And Jen's like, then be a good friend because I defended you with Angie Harrington. You saw what Angie K just did to me. She'll do the same to you. Jen is physically pushing Lisa away. She's like, you want her to have back? Then she tosses an entire veggie tray into the ocean. Not cool, Jen. Look, I'm not a marine biologist, and I don't know if the fish would eat the vegetables, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to eat the ranch dip. And I know they're not going to eat the plastic tray and the spoon. I hope that they at least were able to fish that plastic out. Oh, this is so bizarre, you guys. Lisa's like, Jen, you can't throw your food in the ocean. Meanwhile, just a few feet away, Dana is smacking Whitney's twerking ass. Seriously though, does she have any other moves? I saw the headstand twerking and yeah, I'm impressed. I would like to see if you have any other dance moves. Lisa continues to follow Jen. She is determined, I'll give her that. And Jen made a good point about that Finsta account because that was created to drag Lisa. That was an issue that Angie H had with Lisa saying stuff about her, and then her stupid elf on the shelf husband got mad and created a Finsta account. That was all to get at Lisa. But they used the name Shaw Exposed and dragged Jen into the whole thing and Jen's family. And even still, Jen, was supportive of Lisa. So, as much as Lisa tries, I'm your friend, come on, say it, Jen is refusing to go there. She's still yelling at Lisa, and now Lisa has had enough. So now Lisa's like mad. Stop being a bitch to me. I've done nothing to you. Guys, something sort of weird is developing between Dana and Whitney right now. Dana is full on carrying Whitney with Whitney's legs over Dana's shoulders. Honestly, I'm torn between admiring Dana's strength and her sense of balance on a boat and thinking that they just need to get a room. Jen's yelling. Lisa is demanding that she say she's her friend. In Lisa's confessional, she says, it's emotional manipulation. Make everyone else feel like they're the worst friend in the world while you're doing all the shitty stuff. Stop saying, have my back. I need to know who's real. You're not the real one, Jen. You're as fake as your boobs, your ass, your face, everything. So now she goes off, and while she gets comforted by Angie K, Heather is comforting Jen. Heather's like, you're good. She's got her arm around her. You got ambushed. You never saw that coming. Don't even let them see you cry. In Heather's confessional, she said, if you're Jen's friend, you know she's been embarrassed enough this year. I don't think Jen Shah is a saint, but I would never kick someone like that when they're down. I couldn't do it either. And as much as I would be angry about, the elderly, I wouldn't add to her distress. Okay, so like I said, Angie K is with Lisa, and she's like, sorry, I feel responsible somehow. So, you think? Lisa's like, you're not responsible. Yes, she is. She's entirely responsible. She could have just complained about her blowout some more because that's what she was really mad about. She was embarrassed that she got a drink poured over her head and, she's on TV. She's still not used to that. And that embarrassed her. If she would have just stuck to that and not brought up how she paid for Sharif's octopus. Oh, that doesn't sound right. That sounds completely filthy somehow. Who paid for Sharif's octopus? Side note, a couple of you guys in the comments pointed out that when Angie K was itemizing all the bills of everything she paid for that party, she included a cleaning fee of $500. So either the cleaners were terrible and Angie K still had to get on her hands and knees and scrub the floors, or the $500 was a bill for her services. Angie, I'm going to have to see a picture of those floors when you're done. Let's see if the 500 is justified. Okay, so now Dana and Meredith join them, and Dana's like, Lisa, what happened with Jen? None of your concern, Dana. I liked you better when you were about to have sex with Whitney. Then we cut to Jen's group. Jen's like, I'm about to jump in the ocean right now. And Heather's like, no, listen to me. Whitney, can I get you a life jacket at least? Blink, blink. Jen's like, yeah, get me a life jacket. So Whitney goes off. And Heather's like, no, she's not going to ruin your look. You're not going to get in the water. Then Heather makes Jen have a water drinking contest. I don't know, to sober her up, I guess. Oh, well, Wit's not going to get a life jacket at all, is she? Because now she joins the other ladies. Yes, she's sitting down in the enemy camp. Lisa's like, I'm not going to play dumb games where I can't talk to you or somebody else, or else I'm not being a good friend. I don't think pouring the drink on Angie K was cool. And that's it, bottom line. And Whitney again says something very cryptic. If you guys understand Whitney better than me, could you translate for me in the comments? Because it's hard to find the thread of what Whitney's talking about. I think I found it earlier when she told Angie K that she was so brave. I think that was just an awkward segue for Whitney to talk about what she's doing with Heather, Now I'm pretty sure she's doing the same thing. She's trying to just make the conversation about her when it clearly isn't. And so she uses a very strange segue to get there. What she says now is, this is the point where you have to take accountability. of what we say and do. Now, Meredith understood what she meant immediately, because now the CEO of Fun says, I might exit this conversation at this point. So, goodbye, everyone. I will see you a little bit later. And she leaves, and Whitney, I'm pretty sure, like, Dana and Lisa and Angie K are confused. And Whitney goes, it's because she knows she came to my house and started talking about Lisa. Okay, so now that was Whitney trying to turn it into who brought up Lisa's marriage rumors again. I don't know. Whitney's having conversations from 3 weeks ago, and they're just now coming out of her mouth. So now it's the CEO of Fun's confessional, and she says, I don't need a lecture from Whitney Rose on taking accountability. I'm not interested in your lecture, little girl. Then we get a flashback to when Mary Cosby called Whitney little girl. And we cut back to Meredith in her confessional, and she is cackling. Literally cackling at this. Okay, so now Heather and Jen still in the front of the boat. Meredith goes and joins them. And it's the three of them, and Heather jokes that she should find Angie K's purse and throw it in the ocean. And then she clarifies that she's just kidding. And what happens is Jen now goes and she's like, whose shoe is this? Is it your shoe? Heather's like, no. Is it your shoe? Meredith says no. Tosses it in the ocean. Jen Shaw, stop treating the ocean like your personal garbage can. What the hell? To its credit, the shoe is floating, and I'm hoping it can be retrieved. The producers tell the other ladies that somebody's shoe is floating out there. Lisa goes, I hope it's not mine. Then in her confessional, she's like, oh my God, not to be insensitive to anyone else, but I hope it's not one of mine. Because they're limited edition pre-order YSL shoes that are really hard to get right now. Okay, I'm very confused right now because now the other ladies come and they're looking, to see whose shoe it was. And Heather says, Whitney, I've got your shoe in my purse. I'm keeping it safe. Like, I think they thought it was Whitney's shoe then, because then we find out that it was Angie K's shoe. Angie K says both her shoes are gone and they were $1,500. Oh my God, she's got receipts for everything. If you have to talk about how much your shoes were, then maybe you should have got some flip-flops from Old Navy and wore those. That would have saved you some money for, more octopus at your next party. Now you're going to have to serve tuna salad on a Ritz. That sounds really good right now. Okay, well, all good times must come to an end, and the yacht is finally pulling into the dock. The ladies go right from the boat into the Sprinter van, and Heather is being very nurturing toward Jen. Jen is like asleep with her head on her lap, and Heather's, petting her and pulling her hair back and stuff. And she jokes that Jen's just going to take a little power nap here, so she can rally for dinner. I'm going to have to put her in a Hawaiian dress and move her hips for her, like Weekend at Bernie's. In Dana's confessional, she says, Heather's a little different when she's face to face with Jen. She shared something a little bit different at the bakery. I think Heather wants Jen to believe that she's her ride or die, but Heather's not really being honest with herself. Okay, thanks for your assessment. It's so funny. Dana basically does my job, and I hate her for it. Right? I don't know the ladies either, but I've got a lot of opinions about them. Maybe that's why I don't like Dana. She's coming for my job. Okay, so now they all get out of the van, and the driver is, helping them down. And they're like, oh, yeah, she's just gonna take a little nap here. So what they do is they leave Jen. The poor driver, she doesn't know what to do. She's like, oh, and then she kind of goes in and she's like, are you all right? And Jen kind of wakes up a little and she goes, yeah, I'm fine. So then we see the passage of time. It's 4:06. Jen is asleep in the van. 4:42, asleep in the van. 5:03, asleep. 5:31, Jen finally wakes up and steps out of the van with a whole new attitude for the Aloha dinner. We catch up with some of the ladies in their rooms as they're calling home. Heather is actually on FaceTime with Angie H. Heather really wishes that she was there because Angie H is so much fun without any of the drama. And Heather trusts her. She can let loose with Angie H and not be worried. Then Heather catches her up on, all the drama that did happen that day. And she's like, oh, girl, you are never going to believe who was at each other's throats. Angie H is like, Jen and Dana? Heather, nope. It was Jen and her co-host, Angie K. Angie H is shocked. She's like, what's going on with you and Jen? And Heather's like, Jen and I are good right now. You know what? I realize I like to have fun with her, but I don't have a lot of expectations. Then we check in with Lisa, and she is calling home and speaking to John. Lisa's like, so what are you doing? John, well, I just finished unloading the dishwasher. Guys, he may not be the most exciting human, but he's a very efficient robot. That half of him can be programmed to perform a variety of household tasks. She tells him about her fight with Jen and that Jen pushed her. And he's like, physically? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, I don't like that. But, Lisa can't really seem to muster up any real anger. She's kind of like, whatever. I don't know if she's tired or if she's just like so over Bravo contrived, disagreements or something. That's kind of what it sounded like whatever. I don't even care anymore. Okay, the ladies have gotten all dressed and glammed up, and they are ready for their luau dinner, and Jen tells them she has a very special surprise. And oh boy, it is an entire Hawaiian experience. There are fire dancers and hula dancers, and there are, drummers and the works. The only comment that Angie K can muster is, this is such a beautiful backdrop for them. Oh, shut up, Angie K. Yeah, we get it. It's your friend's house. You came up with the location. Good for you. I do have to give Angie K points for her confessional, though, because she goes, these fire dancers are amazing. The sad thing is, I'm going to have to pull them aside later and tell them they're probably not going to get paid. So after the fire dancers, the hula dancers come out. And then, of course, it's like, a little lesson for the women, teaching them some hula moves. Oh, no. Oh, guys, the CEO of Fun, really struggling. I actually don't think her hips move that way or, at all. Okay, so everybody grabs some traditional Polynesian food that's in this beautiful spread, and they head to the table and sit down to begin eating. No sooner do they pick up their forks when, what is this? An alarm? Sirens? The police are here? Is it the FBI? Have they finally caught Jen? Wait, why are their shirts open? Why have they cut the sleeves off their uniforms? And why are they wearing aviators at night? Yeah, all good questions. You guessed it. They're strippers. Side note, could you imagine a worse job than stripping? And I don't even mean stripping at a strip club. I'd rather do that. Stripping for a party, like a private party somewhere. I don't know, leaving your sad apartment with tearaway clothes on, getting in your Toyota Tercel, plugging in the GPS for some stupid house where there's a bachelorette party or something, and then walking in and, oh God, it's so embarrassing and sad. It feels so sad to me. I'd rather be anywhere else. I would rather be a prostitute. At least then you can spend part of the evening laying down. This just feels like a lot of work. And to hype people up. Oh no, it's even worse. None of the ladies want a lap dance. Jen probably has it in her contract with Coach that go ahead and be wacky and wild and hire strippers, but you're not getting a lap dance. Let me know in the comments if any of you have ever been a stripper and had to do private events. How horrible was it? Maybe it's great. Maybe you just get paid so much money you don't care. And all you have to do is, dance around. I mean, that could be fun if you were in a good mood, I guess. Anyway, like I said, none of the ladies want a lap dance, and they're really kind of pushing for Lisa. And so the guy comes up behind Lisa, and he's trying to be seductive. It's painful to watch. And Whitney, at the last minute, comes to Lisa's rescue. She's like, you know what? I'm married. I have 2 kids. Come give me a dance. And she puts her chair out there and sits down, like, go ahead. And honestly, it is the kindest, most generous gift I have ever seen a housewife give to another housewife. Lisa's like a germaphobe. All she keeps thinking about is like wanting to wipe the guys down with a Clorox wipe or something. She also doesn't want to be touched by anyone but her half-human husband. And probably not even the human side of him, is my guess. All right, the cops leave early. And Angie K asks Dana, so how's your very first ever girls trip going? Dana said, the experience has been great so far. Has it? But the energy's been off. And I think we need to address it. Oh, good. Can we get the strippers back here? Because that was less awkward. Then she says, you all know that Jen and I got into a little argument last week. But here's the thing, Dana. You didn't get into an argument with Jen last week. Behind her back, you told some other ladies that you thought Jen was a bully. That's all. You didn't get into an argument with her. You talked about her behind her back. And then it got back to her. She still didn't confront you until you happened to be there when she was inviting Meredith to her girls' trip. And then she said, Dana, you'd be invited, but I heard you were talking shit about me. I don't really call that a little argument. Anyway, Dana goes, I just feel like you're not nice to some of the girls. And Jen goes, like who? Dana. Well, Angie Harrington. Side note, I wonder how Dana's friend Lisa feels about her defending Angie Harrington so much. You know what I mean? Lisa hates Angie Harrington. Anyway, Dana goes on to say, the way you approached her made me uncomfortable because I don't know you very well, Jen. And I don't know, Heather, you knew how I felt. And Heather goes, yeah, I told you to talk to her. Dana, I know, but you also told me that if Jen ever gave you an ultimatum, you wouldn't be friends with her anymore. And Heather goes, listen, what Chris Harrington did was absolutely wrong. And then promising to post an apology and then relinquishing that commitment. And Dana goes, but you know why she couldn't do it. She told us why. So Jen's like, I never heard this. Why? Yeah, I never heard this either. Dana goes, she spoke to her legal team and they advised her not to. What? I'm sorry. She and the elf didn't consult their legal team before they created a Finsta account, did they? Or I'm sure they would have advised them against doing that too. Also, why do you have a legal team? Then we see a flashback to, I think it was when they were in that bakery, and Angie H said, Chris was like, look, fine, but we have to talk to our attorneys first. And the attorneys and our PR team were like, absolutely not. You are not going to make this public apology. This is your drama-free friend, Heather. Yeah, she's great. So then Dana says to Jen, because they don't want any association with you. Wow, that's rich. If they didn't want any association with Jen Shah, maybe, just maybe, they shouldn't have created an Instagram account called Shah Exposed. Yeah, they kind of forced an association with Jen. Jen is just speechless. So am I. They're idiots. I hate them. And also, please don't do something that makes me pick Jen's side after her company has earned money off the backs of the elderly. Don't make me do that. I don't like that. Yet here I am, siding more with Jen Shah than anybody else. Jen's like, I didn't do anything wrong to them. That's why the apology needs to happen. They created the fake account. Yes. And Dana goes, we told her she needed to have a conversation with you. And Heather goes, she needs to settle the score. Dana to Heather, I remember you saying that she didn't need to make a public apology. Jen's like, looking at Heather like, let's hear this one. Heather goes, I said a public apology would be ridiculous because you would be admitting to a horrible, indefensible thing that no one in the world would ever forgive you for. Wait, so are you saying she absolutely shouldn't have given a public apology or what? Like, I don't even know what Heather meant by that, but she said it with such fervor that I think she was hoping that her emotions would sort of mean more than the actual words coming out of her mouth. I don't know. But Jen says, they destroyed my life, my husband's life. She's kind of crying now. And she's like, what about that? And Heather goes, that's my whole point. Huh? She's as confusing as Whitney right now. I don't understand what your whole point is, Heather. Do you or do you not think that they should give a public apology? And then to Dana, Heather goes, you need to be very clear with your words. I mean, somebody does. Because now you're making this all about me. And then she says, is anyone here unclear about how I feel about what Angie did? I mean, kinda. I mean, I'm clear that she thinks it was horrible and indefensible. I'm just not clear on whether she thinks she should apologize publicly. Anyway, Heather goes, so stop asking me about it. Dana, why are you so deeply invested in this? I really want to know. Finally. So do I. I think we all really want to know. But we're not going to get that answer because Angie K speaks up now. I guess to help her friend Dana out of the hot seat. I don't know. I would love to have heard Dana's answer, though. Angie K. Well, you know, and you all went to lunch together, so she probably feels like she was put in the middle of it. No, she was involved long before lunch. So Heather goes, she put herself in the middle. And Angie K., after the day you've had, I would just sit there and listen. And maybe not take the opportunity to take a side swipe. So Angie K's like, it's not a side swipe. And then Heather's with the, you have 2 ears, 1 mouth, really just, you should listen to us. It's not about you. And then Angie goes, well, there's a lot of bullshit coming out of your mouth. And Heather goes, name one bullshit thing. And Angie K, okay, this is bizarre. Angie K goes, this girl, Jen, this girl has maintained a relationship with you, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. Heather's like, you can't understand why she's friends with me? I'm trying to figure out your friendship because she threw your shoes off the yacht today. Jen and I are good. And Angie K goes, I didn't bring it up because I'm a good friend to Jen, and I don't know if you can say the same. I feel like I'm in Twilight Zone right now. Lisa, can I say something? And Jen's like, Lisa, don't roll your eyes at me, Jen. This is inconsistent with the conversation that you, me, Angie K, and Whitney had in her hot tub. Then we get a flashback.
Heather is my friend 60% of the time. The other 40%, I'm supposed to eat it, not say sweep it under the rug. The point I'm at in my life with everything I'm going through, I don't need friends like that.
So, yeah, Lisa is sick of all the lies. She says it's hard to have fun when you're being yelled at on a yacht. I don't deserve that, you coming at me. Jen, when did I come at you? Lisa, are you kidding me? I don't think she is. I'm not sure she actually remembers. Oh, good, Dana will remind her. Dana, Jen, you got in Lisa's face and you almost shoved her. There's no almost about it. She did shove her. To be fair, Lisa did keep trying to hug her, and that's annoying. So Jen thinks that Lisa's being mean right now because she really doesn't remember any of that. And Jen goes, you just have an issue if anybody is friends with Heather. Lisa, no. I do not. You fucking liar. That is not true. You dumped champagne on her head and humiliated her. Then Jen goes, I'm sorry, Angie. I really am. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. And this hugely heartfelt apology comes right now. And Angie K's like, okay, thank you. I feel like you are sorry. And Lisa's like, what just happened? Now these two are good? Like, where's my apology? So she tries to get Jen back on track. Lisa and Angie K want Jen to admit what she said in the hot tub that night about Heather. And Jen goes, okay, I'm about to. Just hold on. Fine, okay. So when I showed up at the choir audition, Oh my God. This is how far back we need to begin. Well, I hope you're all comfy. Maybe go grab a snack and a cup of tea. Get cozy, because I think we're in for a long story here. Jen tells Heather, after the conversation she had with her, she thought that Heather was pretty disgusted by what the Harringtons did. And so when she showed up to the audition and saw Angie Harrington there, she was hurt. Heather. This is another masterful manipulation by Heather. Here's what she says. Because she showed up in a matching outfit with Whitney? In that one sentence, Heather managed to take all the blame off of herself. She deflected, she redirected to, if you're hurt by me, are you hurt by Whitney? Because Whitney showed up in a matching outfit with her. Was it nice? No. Was it kind of masterful? Yeah, kind of. So Whitney goes, this has nothing to do with me. And Heather goes, no, yeah, I'm just clarifying what we're talking about. Sure you are. So Jen goes, here's what I need to know. If somebody did something so cruel and so evil to my family, are you okay being friends with them? Heather, if they apologize and are accountable, yes. And Jen goes, they didn't. And Heather goes, Chris didn't call you to apologize? That's not what she meant. And Heather knows it. Heather knows that Jen meant a public apology, but okay. So Jen goes, he called because he got caught, which I totally believe, because I don't think for a second there's anything, remotely honorable about Chris Elf on the Shelf 52-year-old man Harrington. So Heather goes, what can I do? Then she goes around pointing at others. Are you friends with Angie Harrington? Are you friends with Angie H? Are you? Are you, Meredith? Are you friends with Angie H? Everybody is friends with Angie H. I'm not going to not be friends with Angie. So that's upsetting to Jen. And she said, you're supposed to be my ride or die. And guess what? That's not ride or die characteristics. And Heather goes, what do you want me to do? Jen, not be friends with Angie Harrington. Oh, it gets everybody quiet. And Heather said, okay, I'm not going to do that. Then she says that she is as much a ride or die for Angie H as she is for Jen. Jen is like sickened by that. So Jen goes, Heather, you've shown up for me 60% of the time, which is what she said in the hot tub. Then you shit on me and my family the rest of the time. And I sweep it under the rug. For $500, Angie K will dispose of it for you and scrub the floor. So Heather goes, and you show up for me 100%? Jen, absolutely. And then something about an ultimatum. And Jen goes, I'm not giving you an ultimatum, but I need to know where people stand. And the only person that I know where they stand is Angie Katsunavis. What? Angie K? The girl whose shoe is floating in the ocean right now, probably choking a turtle. Nobody knows what to say. I mean, honestly, even Angie K is not sure she heard right. So again, Lisa has had enough. She said, you know what? If you want to acknowledge that I'm your friend, you can. And if not, that's fine too. Jen goes, what are you even talking about? I love that Lisa is so worked up about something that Jen doesn't even remember happening. Oh, God. Anyway, Lisa calls it a night. She's got a 10-year-old at home who's missing her, and she needs to go call him. So she's walking back to her room. Heather gets up. She thanks Jen for a lovely evening. And she kind of gently says to Jen, listen, I'm glad you didn't give me an ultimatum. Let's just talk about this tomorrow. And Jen goes, I need to know what category to put you in. If somebody says to me, are you a Heather Gay or are you a Lisa Barlow? Now, Lisa is still within earshot. So she kind of yells from across the yard, Lisa Barlow is pretty f***ing good as a friend. So then Heather's like, I never said that. Jen's like, you've perpetuated that brand. I guess that like Heather Gay, I'm such a good friend. And Heather's like, I never said that. And she said, well, you perpetuated that brand. And Heather goes, well, guess what? Go find yourself another Heather Gay. I'm out. And she leaves, goes back into the house. Now Jen's up on her feet. I tried to make this a nice trip. Now she's talking to Meredith and she's like, I even invited this one because you said, and Dana goes, I never said you had to. I thought she didn't. She's a guest of a guest, remember? Anyway, she goes into the house and Whitney, who's ever left at the table, Whitney says, Meredith, you are not the CEO of fun. Well, not a very good one anyway. Then everyone decides to call it a night. And as Meredith is leaving, she goes, well, I guess I'll bring Jen her hair. Because apparently Jen left her wig on the table. And that was episode 10, you guys. Yeah. And next week, I think Heather gets a black eye. So I don't know who hauled off and punched her, but no, I'm sure that's not it. I'm sure she is drunk and fell or something. But anyway, she's got a nasty, nasty, like swollen eye. So that'll be fun. As I said at the beginning, I was going to talk a little bit about the fasting thing. You guys had so many opinions about it, some pro, some con, some genuine concerns, some people vehemently telling me not to fast. And I just want you to know that I take everything you guys say into consideration. I don't or will never think that I know all and that I can't learn more and that you can't learn from other people's experiences. But we all have different experiences. So given that, I just want you all to know that I understand that everybody who had an opinion on this, good or bad, did it out of care for me and concern. And that is exactly the way I took it. I don't think anybody had any ill intent. I think just everybody wanted me to be careful and be safe. But even those of you who were pro, I just want to clarify something. And that is predominantly, I think people thought that I was doing this as a weight loss measure. And I can understand why. You can lose weight when you fast, obviously. When you're not taking food in, you're going to lose some weight. And I think because, we live in a society where all people, but women in particular, are taught through the way we grow up, advertising, all of it, that we should look a certain way and we should weigh a certain amount and all that. As I've said before, you guys know how old I am. I'm 61 years old and I'm kind of over that. I am truly, truly wanting to be healthy. And if healthy means that I'm 30 pounds overweight, that's my healthy place. I'm okay with that. And I can genuinely say I really mean it. This was actually never about weight loss for me. So when you advise that, okay, that's great, you can fast, but you will gain it all back and then some. And when you stop fasting, I don't want you to think that I'm using this like some sort of yo-yo dieting thing. I'm just in a very different place right now. What I'm trying to get out of fasting right now is improved health and possibly longevity. So if this is TMI, I'm sorry. And, the recap is over. And so you can tune out at any moment. But I actually have a medical situation right now. I have something called GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease. And it's heartburn, basically. And I've had it for 10 plus years. When I first went to my doctor with it, he put me on Zantac, a permanent daily dosage of Zantac, which I had taken for several years until maybe 2 years ago when all Zantac was pulled from the shelves because it was associated with cancer. Yay, says the person who took it daily for several years. That didn't mean I didn't have GERD anymore. That just meant now I needed to find a replacement. So what my doctor told me to try was the generic for the Pepcid AC. That did absolutely nothing. Didn't help. It was terrible. What I found did work was the generic for Prilosec, which is omeprazole, I think is what it's called. However, you are not supposed to take that longer than 14 days. It can affect your liver and all this other kind of stuff. So I was desperate. I was either living with this horrible heartburn or I was on this omeprazole. This was all during my move and stuff like that. After we moved into this house, I found a doctor, made an appointment just for a first visit appointment and a general checkup. I was due for a yearly checkup anyway. And so what he had me do was he put me on omeprazole, and maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong, sorry. He put me on the over the counter is 20 milligram dose. dose. So he put me on 40 milligrams and he's like, it's fine, it'll be fine. And he put me on that for 3 months. And then I was going to start weaning off of that. Okay. So that's what I did. I was great. Once I was on it, almost like the day I take one, I'm good. No heartburn. It's wonderful. And so I was in the process of weaning near about the time that my sisters were coming into town. And I did not want to be off of it when they were here because I knew we'd be going out to eat and all that kind of thing. There was one time in my adult life that I lost a significant amount of weight. When I had done that, my heartburn went away without taking anything. And that is the only time within those, 10, 12 years that I had started taking the Zantac that I didn't need it. Just whatever I was doing was not sustainable, whatever. I'm not going to go into all that, why I gained the weight back. So anyway, I worked it out so that when my sisters were here, I was still on the omeprazole. I should also say that part of the time, a good part, maybe 5 days of the time that they were here, I had reduced it down to where I was only taking 10 milligrams, which is half of what the over-the-counter is. And I was still perfectly fine. Not an ounce of heartburn. I know it's not measured in ounces. I was almost optimistic that maybe I had kind of gotten over this thing. By the second day of being off of it altogether, my reflux came raging back. Raging to the point where I was so miserable. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to eat. I mean, I knew what to eat. I could Google foods that won't hurt acid reflux. I was on the blandest, healthiest, whatever. I was eating tiny bits of food at a time. I was off coffee, which pained me greatly. Couldn't even have tea. You guys, it was so bad. I couldn't even have hot water. No lemon, mind you. I literally just wanted something hot to drink in the morning, and I heated water in a kettle, and I would swallow that, and it felt like my stomach was burning. And not burning because that water was so hot, I don't mean that. And cold water. Water was bad. Here's the thing, everything was bad. And I suffered like that for a week, and finally Chris was like, you have to call the doctor. And now also, I'm worried because I know that in a couple more weeks, I'm going to New York to spend time with Jade, and it's Thanksgiving, and New York City with the best food on the planet. So I went to see him, and I told him for the past week I'm eating the tiniest morsels of food and it's hurting. And then I think about eating and I'm afraid. That's basically what it was. I was afraid to eat. I told him I think I'm going to have an endoscopy because I don't know what's happening here. I don't know if I'm having scar tissue. Also, I should say, when I would have this reflux, I could feel pain inside my ears. It was worse than anything I've ever felt. I was pretty sure at this point I was going to need to go a little bit further and have a scope or something. He's like, yeah, we might have to schedule that. In the meantime, I'm going to give you a prescription for the omeprazole again. He felt it was at least safe enough. He just wanted me to be out of pain until I had this endoscopy. And he said, and there are people, I'm sorry to say, that they just have to be on it forever. I might be one of them. And I was like, oh, because do not tell me that. That just makes me mad. And I'm always trying to fight the next thing in my life that's oh God, I have to be on this now, I'm really sorry for how long this story is, you guys. So I was telling him, I know that when I had lost weight, it went away. And he's, looking at my chart and he goes, well, you have lost some weight since the last time you were here. And I'm like, dude, I haven't eaten in a week. I literally feel like I consumed very little calories because I was so afraid to eat. And he's like, okay, yeah. He goes, well, we don't want that. That's not what we want. He gives me a prescription to go back on the omeprazole, but just 10 milligrams because that worked for me. Until my endoscopy, I would like to try to not be on this stuff if I can tolerate it. Because actually, after a week of it, I felt like it was slightly better, my heartburn. And that could just be because, maybe I was down 4 pounds or something. Even just that little amount may have been enough to help. So he said, yes, if I felt like I could tolerate, I didn't have to take it. I said, I'm definitely going to take it during my trip to New York. And then when my daughter comes here over Christmas. Again, I'm probably going to go back on it. This is just a long roundabout way of saying what I realized was happening was I was going longer and longer without food because of it. Basically, I've been intermittent fasting. There was no attempt to do this kind of fasting. It was just what was naturally happening because of the reflux. So I think that's what got me thinking about fasting in general. I was going without food for long periods of time, 18 hours, maybe 20 hours even without food, and it wasn't killing me. So that's what really got me to start investigating fasting. It really had nothing to do with weight. Although, yes, I admit losing weight was going to, in general, help the heartburn. And if I don't have to be on omeprazole or whatever daily for the rest of my life, that is a goal worth having to me. With absolute zero shade to anybody else who does need it on a daily basis, I'm thrilled beyond belief that we have medicine like this in our lives that we can take to get us out of this pain. And I throw no shade to anybody for the choices they make about their own health care. Your body, your choice. This is just about me. This is me. This is my journey and my choices. Here's the other thing I want to address. I think I sounded very flippant last week. Like, guys, I think I'm going to do this next week. I made it sound like I was just on the verge of just winging it and I'm going to do it. And I think that scared some of you guys. Understandably. So that was wrong of me to approach it like that or to put it out there like that, because that was really never my intent. And very quickly I realized, I don't think I can do this until January because my daughter and I are doing the Jam Advent Calendar from Bon Maman. And it's such a fun little thing that we're doing now. We FaceTime each other in the morning and we open our new jam of the day and we make toast and we talk about, what happened on the last episode of The White Lotus or something. And it's become a super fun little morning ritual. And Chris is in on it too. So I'm at least having jam and toast every morning until Christmas. And then, of course, my daughter's going to be here until probably the 27th or 28th. I think she's going back. So I can't really do a fast until January. I'm still excited about the fast. I'm still super interested in the fast. And I've been, like I said, watching YouTube videos that get me even more excited about it. So I have some books here. I've barely looked at them yet. Also, let me just say this. I picked whatever books about fasting that my library had. One thing I will say about Greenville, the library offerings are a little bit slimmer than they were back where I came from. My branch is a tiny little library. It's super cute, though. I'll take you guys there sometime. Anyway, first book is called Intuitive Fasting, the flexible 4-week intermittent fasting plan to recharge your metabolism and renew your health. And this is by Dr. Will Cole, best-selling author of Ketotarian and the Inflammation Spectrum. It's got a foreword by Gwyneth Paltrow. I didn't know that before I got it. Really, I ordered all books that just were about fasting. And this is basically intermittent fasting. So I don't know how super helpful this is going to be for me, because what I am interested in is doing a full fast, just water and then whatever else I might need. And I will talk to my doctor before I do it too. A couple of you guys cautioned me about that because I am on medication and I want to know that it's okay to be on whatever medication I'm on and while fasting. And if I need something extra like electrolytes or some extra vitamins even. What I'm not into is that a lot of this book got recipes. And I hate recipes. I am such a picky eater. There's almost something in every single recipe that makes me go, no, I don't want that. I don't like it. I don't like tarragon. I don't like kale. I don't like mushrooms. It goes on and on. I'm the worst. I'm not going to lie. A very secondary reason that I'm excited about fasting is the whole, I don't have to think about what to eat today. I kind of love that. Being free from the whole what to have for dinner. I'm kind of looking forward to that. The second book is also by a doctor. This is called The Fasting Fix, Eat Smarter, Fast Better, Live Longer by Andreas Michelson, MD, PhD. And he's got a recommended fasting schedule in the middle of it. This is a 10-day program, 2 relief days, 5 fasting days, and 3 build-up days. So I'll look through that and see. I'm probably not going to be able to do this. I can tell you right now, vegetable soup. I don't like leeks. I don't know, carrot, celery, and potato is fine. Maybe I could do that. The pumpkin soup, 1 Hokkaido pumpkin chopped. What the hell is a Hokkaido pumpkin? See, that annoys me. Tell me what I can get at the Publix. Oh, no. Oh, I thought it was liver. I was like, no, I'm out. It's a liver pack. Fill hot water bottle with hot water. Then take a linen cloth or towel, fold it so it's about 8 by 12 inches, soak it in hot water, let it cool slightly, wring it out. This is involved. When the cloth is still hot but tolerable enough to place directly on your skin, lay it over your liver, right upper abdomen. Immediately after, place a dry cotton sheet, about 16 by 20 inches, on top of the moist cloth. Then lay the hot water bottle over the dry cloth. Finally, wrap yourself. This is crazy. Finally, wrap yourself in a large cotton or wool blanket. Rest for about 30 minutes. It's important that the moist compress directly on your skin does not become cool. If it does, remove it. Oh, that sounds interesting. I may just do a liver pack and nothing else from this book. We'll see. Okay, and then the last book, and this is the one I actually started to read, is called Fast This Way. Burn fat, heal inflammation, and eat like the high-performing human you were meant to be. This is actually not by a doctor. His name is Dave Asprey, and he is the inventor of bulletproof coffee. For those of you who have ever done keto, or if you're doing it now, you'll know what that is. Bulletproof coffee basically is coffee with butter in it and probably MCT oil, that medium chain triglyceride oil. Yes, it's something about the butter or ghee. I think ultimately, it's about the fat in it, having the fat in your coffee in the morning and having that fill you and kind of sustain you longer. There's also other benefits to it all. I don't know. I'm not an expert on keto dieting. So this one's kind of interesting. And I know a lot because I am 17 pages in. But he is talking about how fasting can be very different for everyone. And you can have different kinds of fasts. And it's basically about how you can fast painlessly. That one's kind of interesting. And then I do have a couple more that are one that's ready to be picked up at the library now, and another that's I'm probably not going to get for a while because I think the library just ordered it themselves. So anyway, yeah, sorry that was so long, but I hope it explains a little bit more why I'm doing this. It's so much less about losing weight. It's indirectly about losing weight only insofar as how just naturally helps my GERD go away. I'm interested in that, but also then I guess I'm interested in the benefits of fasting. I hope everyone who was against it will know that I'm being careful. One of you had a very serious story saying that after you fasted for 4 days and you wound up in the ER, and I don't know the details of your story, and wouldn't never ask you to share them in the comment section. But, if you ever wanted to tell me more about that privately, you can email me at jillinformed@gmail.com, or you can DM me at my Instagram, which is also just jillinformed. So again, I don't know the details of that, but I'm going to just be as careful as I can. And after reading and talking to my doctor, if it is determined that it's not the best thing for me to do, I won't do it. Also, yes, I said I wanted to do a 7-day fast. I would love to do a 7-day fast, but I probably won't start with 7 days. I'll start with 1 day, maybe. I feel like I've gone almost a day already because I've been so nervous about eating. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And whatever I do decide to do, I'll let you guys know. I'll probably document it and save the footage in a single video, because I know this isn't for everybody. That's why I put it at the end of the video here, because most people, It's just you and me here now, because most people don't care about this, and I get it. Totally understand it. Mostly I wanted to clarify that this isn't like some weight loss fad that I'm trying to do. Fasting has been around for thousands of years, for one thing. I feel like if I can incorporate fasting into my life on a regular basis, that's what I'm kind of interested in. All right, and I know I've kept you guys way too long, but I did promise a book recommendation. As I said at the beginning, this is a departure from my usual genre of psychological thrillers. This is... honestly, I don't know if they consider it a memoir. Anyway, a lot of you have probably already heard of it and maybe even read it. But the name of the book is I'm Glad My Mom Died. And it is written by Jeanette McCurdy, who is an actress, one of the main characters on iCarly on Nickelodeon. Now, iCarly is not my jam and way after my time. It was a show that my daughter watched. Like, I wasn't watching her shows with her at that time. I never saw a single episode of iCarly, so I don't remember Jeanette McCurdy and her character Sam. The reason I'm telling you that is because I didn't come to this book from a place of like, oh no, this is Jeanette McCurdy's life. I don't know who she is. It's just an incredibly interesting read. It's about her family, primarily about her mother, who had a mental illness. And the way it manifested itself was very detrimental to Jeanette, the whole family, but particularly Jeanette, who was her only daughter and who wanted nothing more in life than to please her mother and to make her mother happy in every possible way she could, down to the fact that her mother always wanted to be an actress and never could, and pushed Jeanette to do it, took her to auditions, was like the worst kind of stage mom you could ask for, and Jeanette had no interest in it. But she did it for her mom. She did almost everything in her life for her mom. And so the book is a lot about her mom. And just listen, if you have abuse in your family, I think maybe skip this one. I am more fascinated by how she dealt with the abuse and how she came out of the abuse and survived it. I am blown away. I guess this is privilege to not have to have had to understand this kind of thing in my own childhood, but I am blown away by how many adults in that family, because not only, it's not like this was a single mom. Her father lived with them and her grandparents lived with them. Her mother's mother and father also lived in the same house with them. And I feel like none of these adults provided the safety for the kids that they needed. And also, I struggle to understand how the person with the illness is able to control everybody else, to run this whole household the way they want to. One of the things I will say about the mother, and this is by far one of the lesser things that was wrong, is that her mother was a hoarder, to the point where the bedrooms were so filled with stuff that Jeanette and her two brothers had roll out like yoga mats that they slept on the living room floor because you couldn't get into their bedrooms because of all the junk. But there were many other. Her mother showered her, like bathed her and her brother until they were in their teens. And together, not always together, but sometimes in the shower together, her 16-year-old brother and her at, 12 maybe or something. Yeah, it's wild. But it's, if all that kind of stuff is triggering for you, I'm sorry even describing it. But I will say, as disturbing as it was, not only was it nearly impossible to put down, I'm reading late into the night, next page, just like, let me do one more chapter. But Jeanette McCurdy is a really good writer. And I think that's what she always really wanted to do in life, was be a writer. Anyway, I highly recommend it. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And she also performs this in like a one-woman show. I would like to see her, actually. I should mention, as I'm thinking of things that might be triggering for you guys, she had developed, surprise, an eating disorder. And that's fairly descriptive too. So if that's gonna be upsetting, then skip this one. But otherwise, I recommend, not very cheerful holiday recommendation, but it was the last book I finished, and I'm telling all my friends to read it. So, all right, finally, I'm done. That's it for me, you guys. If you are doing holiday shopping from Amazon, please consider going through one of my links below. There's the description underneath my video here, the description of the video. I think you have to click on more. You might have to click on more again if you're on your phone, but you will get to the point where I talk about being an Amazon affiliate, and I have some links. If you click on any one of those links, it will take you to Amazon. And while you are still logged into Amazon, you can purchase whatever you want. Whatever you intended to purchase for Christmas does not have to be the thing that I had listed. And as long as you are still logged in, and I believe make the purchase within an hour, I will get a small percentage of that. It doesn't cost you anything, just helps me out. So if you consider doing that, I would very much appreciate it. As always, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have yet to subscribe to my channel, please consider doing so. And if you would like a notification every time I have a new video out, please click on the bell icon. All right, that's it for me. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to my long rants. I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.